Hey everybody! Well, I hope you're getting settled into the course so far and have had a chance to get your textbook and your live text account. This week's assignment is going to cover the material presented in Chapter 2. Chapter 2 talks about how research is done, and research is really the very foundation of the field of psychology. Have you ever wondered about something related to people before? Well, sure you have. I mean, we all have. These are a couple of silly examples here I'm going to give you, but just bear with me. Okay, example number 1. You've probably heard the expression, blondes have more fun. Well, I have brunette hair, so does that mean that people who have blonde hair really enjoy life more than I do? I mean, I'd like to know that, maybe. Or, here's another one. When you close your eyes, I know I do, see little flashes or like little white dots moving around. Maybe you think, am I the only person that does this? Or do other people do this too? Does everybody do it? Maybe just women do it. Maybe men don't do it. You know, who knows? So, of course, you could just talk to your friends about it, and I'm sure you probably do this kind of stuff all the time. You bring up a question, wow, you know, I wonder about this. And so your friends talk about it, and you go, okay, well, yeah, that's probably right. Maybe it is just women, because you ask your female friend, does she do it? And she goes, yeah, okay, yeah, I see what spots of light too. So you think, okay, well, it must just be girls. And so maybe it's just girls in the South, who knows? But this is why psychology is a science. You can't just ask your friends and talk to people about it. You need to be a little bit more systematic about it, and that's what psychologists do. They have a question, just an initial curiosity, just the same way you and I do, and then they take that question, but they go further. They actually design a study, or they do whatever they need to do to be able to come up with an answer that they feel comfortable with, that they think, okay, this isn't just my opinion, this is really what happens. Okay, so that's what this whole thing is about. That's what psychology is about, is having a question and then really trying to systematically find out the answer. But before you go to all the trouble, of figuring out, okay, how am I going to find out if blondes really do have more fun? You could find a bunch of blondes and ask them. You could send out a survey, give a survey to everybody in your church or something, I don't know. But doing that type of stuff is a lot of work, so maybe the first thing to do is say, hey, has somebody else already figured this out? I mean, chances are, if you've wondered about it, somebody else has wondered about it too, and you can just go read about it, and then there's your answer, problem solved. So we need to figure out, okay, where would we find out if somebody else has already had the same question and has already figured out the answer? Well, in the field of psychology and in all disciplines, when people make discoveries or they, have research done, they want to tell the world about it. I mean, they don't want to just sit there and keep it to themselves, because they think, hey, I wondered about this. I bet everybody else is really dying to know the answer to this too, so I'm going to publicize this. Well, the way that psychologists do this, in any discipline really, is there are a set of journals, just a whole bunch of different magazines, basically, where scientists can submit their information and then have other people look at it. I mean, it's like it can't just be, some sort of junk, but other people look at it and say, hey, yeah, this really is an interesting finding. Let's publish this and let everybody know. So that's the whole thing behind journals, is journals are a way to communicate to anybody else who might be interested what they figured out. So don't just Google it. I mean, if you have a question about things, I know I do it too. You just type it into Google, but you come up with a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, it could be somebody's blog. It could be a 16-year-old kid who's talking about it, about what he thinks about it. And so really, we don't know that these people are experts. We don't know what they've done. So that's why we kind of limit our trying to find out the answers by looking in journal articles, because these journals they meet the same standards that we meet. Okay, so the whole APA guidelines thing is talking about the scientifically sound standards. Now, in your textbook for this chapter, you'll see a lot of different journal titles. I mean, there are tons of journals out there, and some of them are really interesting to read, some of them are highly technical, and so there's just a lot of diversity, but that's where you need to go to find out your answers to these questions, not somebody sitting in their basement in Toronto talking about, what they think. So the good place to do that would be by looking at a university library. At Troy, we have, libraries on our various physical campuses, but we also have a pretty good database that you can get the actual articles where you don't have to go rummage through the files or anything, go through the stacks of books. You can actually just type in a word like blondes and fun, or blondes enjoyment of life, whatever kind of search you can do, and it's going to pull up every article that's kind of related to that. Well, from there, you can click on it and you can say, okay, this article looks good, this one doesn't look so good, and then you can make your own decisions about that. So that's where you start, is really by going to the library. All right, I'm going to stop this now, and we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to tell you about this week's assignment.